Oh, hey guys, and welcome to a hugely requested video on the most hated piece of punctuation in the world, the apostrophe. Now, if you're here to learn about the apostrophe, I promise you, you will not be disappointed. By the end of this video, we're going to go over every single use of the apostrophe, including that darned plural possession that we all love and definitely understand really easily. Okay, what we're going to do is we're looking at loads of questions from past SATs papers, the GPS papers, and we're going to be drawing out some learning from them. So let's start at the basics, yeah? Let's get ourselves warmed up with apostrophes for contraction. Because look at these questions. It says, write the words has not as one word using an apostrophe. In other words, contract it into one word. Same with this one. Write the words I will using one word. So what was going to be? We know this, don't we? We know that if we want to write has not as one word, we put hasn't. Hasn't. The apostrophe marks the missing letter. It does not mark the point in which the words join. It marks the missing letter. It marks the missing O from not. Same with this one. I will becomes I'll. The apostrophe, in this case, marks the missing letters. Sometimes more than one letter get taken out to complete the contraction. Apostrophes for contraction, super easy. Why don't you just prove that to me by doing these questions yourself? How evil I am. I found the hardest one I could. This question came up a few years ago in the SATs, and I remember it because I was teaching a year 6 class at the time. And I thought, right, we've done contractions. They can't possibly ever get a contractions question wrong. And that what's the one contraction I'd probably never showed them? It was this word. Because who uses shan't? Who uses shan't in real life? I bet you've never said shan't in your whole life. I shan't be saying this word ever again. Honestly, I was mad when I saw that. So no one knew what it was. We call this an abstract contraction because we've got shall not. We've kind of dropped the two L's and we've dropped the O and we've put the apostrophe between the N and the T. It's a bit abstract because it doesn't quite fit the simple rule that we looked at in the last one. Okay, look at the second question with me. How do we contract nobody is? Well, we quite often contract the word is into a word, don't we? Like it is. Then we simply put the first word, apostrophe S. We end up dropping the I. So nobody's home. Nobody's home. Your parcel will not. We've got another abstract one here because it's not willn't. I wish it was willn't. I feel like willn't is a really cool word. It sounds like very old English. The abstract contraction for will not is won't. So there we go. I've picked the two abstract ones. They might come up in this year's GPS. Who knows? But I shan't be surprised if they pick something as difficult. All right. Here's another kind of question. It's like you just have to circle the right option. Bit of common sense here, but also introduces the idea of what words don't need apostrophes. When do we not need them? Have a think. Have a go first. So the first one is a traditional, bit of a homophone mistake, really. A lot of people, when they're saying we're, they write were by accident. We're should be we are. It's a contraction. So we're going to be using that first one. Now the second one says, shall we start looking for clues? Now really interesting, a lot of people who are thinking, oh, it's just an apostrophe question, they automatically go for the one with the apostrophe. But actually in this case, it's just a plural word, isn't it? Remember, guys, in the English language, because we like to confuse people, so we were like, hey, should we make plural words end in S, but then also make words that are showing possession also end in S, because that would be really funny. And we were like, yeah, let's confuse kids. That's well funny. I mean, that didn't really happen, but it feels like that, right? Remember, plural words just end in S. If there's more than one clue, there's lots of clues, it just has an S on the end. And that's all it is in this situation here. And then finally, introducing the idea now of possession, Rob's team found the treasure first. The team belongs to Rob in this sentence. So once again, I need to use an apostrophe, this time not for contraction, but for possession. So really, this question was actually quite hard because it tested you on all three of the different rules. Contraction, possession, and not even needing an apostrophe. It's just a plural word that ends in S. So harder than it may have looked at first glance. Now guys, before I carry on with the video, did you know we've got a whole library of videos on our website and homework sheets that you can download. They've all been created and designed by us, me and Dylan that is, and you can go over there right now and start checking out some of our free resources by using this QR code link on your phone. All right, back to the video. Let's look at apostrophes for possession then, as that's what kind of where we left off, wasn't it? So apostrophes for possession are to show when one word is belonging to another word. Now we put the apostrophe in the word that owns the thing. Okay, so have a look at this example with me. It says circle the word that is using an apostrophe for possession. Now, we've got lots of apostrophes here, right? You can see one here, 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 and here. So it's, let's study them all. That just means it is. That is not a possession, that is just a contraction. 5 o'clock, that's just a contraction as well. A very common term we use is o'clock. Let's leave early. This is another contraction. That means let us leave early, okay? And we will, I've typed will first for some reason, and we will be able to go. So all of these are contractions, which only leaves one more, and let me prove it to you. Emma's house, okay. I'm not trying to say Emma is house. It's not a contraction. I'm trying to show that the house belongs to Emma. So to do that, we must put an apostrophe S on the end of our noun, which is Emma, to show that the house belongs to her, okay? Have a go at a question yourself. Now, I've got 2 on the screen for you to have a go at, both involving possession. So if my noun is Dom, and I want to show that the football belongs to Dom, we always write our noun, and then we simply put apostrophe S on the end of it to show that the football belongs to this person, Dom. All right? It's as simple as that. Which word should have an apostrophe? Okay, let's think about it. The boy's parents were checking his homework. Now, were is not were. Classic mistake there. People think, oh, were. No, it just says the word were this time. His doesn't need an apostrophe. That's already possessive. Parents or boys. Now, this is where children normally get confused. Right, what belongs to what? In this situation, the parents, we're showing that the parents belong to the boy. We're saying they are the boy's parents, the parents that belong to the boy. So the word boy is the one that needs the apostrophe, and it would need it after boy, after our noun, to add the apostrophe S on there. The boy's parents were checking his homework. Okay, next questions. Have a go yourself first. So similar situation to the last question. Those are Jim's books. We're trying to show that the books belong to Jim. So we don't want to put the apostrophe in books. That doesn't make sense. The books doesn't own anything. It's Jim who owns the books. The noun is Jim. So what we can do is, another strategy, we can box up the original noun. Jim was the noun, which shows me that the apostrophe S was added on as extra to show that the books belong to him. Okay? Same strategy here. We can use the boxing up method. Which sentence uses the apostrophe correctly? Well, who owns what? Lucy's bag is green and has lots of pockets. Right, the bag belongs to Lucy. Yeah? So the original noun was Lucy. So if I box it up like this, there's my noun. If I want to show that Lucy owns something, I'd put an apostrophe S on the end of it. So which one is showing us that? It's the very first one. The rest of them don't make sense. We'll get onto this in a minute. If the apostrophe is after the S, it shows something called plural possession, which we'll come to in just a moment. Okay. We'll come to it right now, in fact. Let's have a look. So in these 2 questions, we're now having to show the thing that everyone hates, the thing that you probably clicked on this video for because you were like, I just don't get it, is plural possession. Now, let's not overcomplicate it. Before, I said we'd box up the noun. If the noun happens to be one person, like Lucy, we simply put an apostrophe S on the end. If the noun that we're trying to show possession to is already plural, like pupils, we still box up the noun and we go to add an apostrophe S, except that one more rule jumps in now. If the word already ends in an S, we don't need to go ahead and put the second S on because it just looks a bit janky. So we decided in the English language that if the word already ends in S, we can just add the apostrophe and not worry about adding another S. Does that make sense? So in one situation, we have an apostrophe followed by an S. In another situation, we just have the apostrophe. So if our original noun, like pupils, is already plural, and we know it's plural because it gives us a clue in the next word also being plural, coats. It's unlikely that there's one pupil having lots of coats. So this suggests that there's lots of pupils. Then we simply go ahead. We think of our noun as pupils. We put an apostrophe S on the end, but because it already ends in S, we don't need to put the second S as well. Same things happens here, right? Both artists' paintings. So the paintings belong to both of these artists. There's more than one artist. So let's think about boxing up our noun. Our noun is artists. Let's put an apostrophe S on the end, but oops, it already ends in S, so I didn't need another one. So let's put our S here at the end of artists, not before. If we put it before the S, it would suggest there's one artist, and then it wouldn't make sense because you've said both. Both artist doesn't make any sense. Are we kind of getting the hang of this? Let's have a look at a couple more, right? This one says tick one box in each row to show whether it's singular or plural. Now, hopefully you can tell fairly easily based on what we just did. Have a go. It's considerably easier when the apostrophes are already put in for you and you're just deciding, because all you need to do is box up the noun, and the noun is always the thing before the apostrophe. So look, let's box up the word before the apostrophe comes in. It says customers. Is customers singular or plural? It's plural, okay? Look at the next one. Let's box up the word before the apostrophe. Princess. Is that singular or plural? That's singular, one princess. Those are the boys' books. Let's box up the noun before the apostrophe. Boys. Is that singular or plural? It's plural, right? It was kind of obvious in this one. These questions, if they come up, you'll be like, yes, because they're way easier than the ones where you have to put the apostrophe in yourself. Okay, so why don't you have a go at another one now? Okay, let's do it. Let's box up the noun before the apostrophe. Neighbor. That's one neighbor. That's singular. Let's box up the noun. Chef. That's one chef. It's not plural. It's singular. And let's box up the noun every single time before the apostrophe. Farmers. Okay, well, you wouldn't say one farmers, would you? That's lots of farmers. That's plural. Okay, so there we go. That's a proper treat of a question, isn't it? Those kind of ones right there. Let's have a look at another one, shall we? Okay, it says explain this time. I like these ones. They've started coming up recently in the SATs exams. It says explain how the position of the apostrophe changes the meaning of the second sentence. So look, you've got brother with apostrophe S on the end, and then you've got brothers with apostrophe on the end. So what's happening here? Based on everything I've just told you, what would be a really good way to explain what the apostrophe is doing to the meaning of this sentence? Well, quite simply, you needed to put something along the lines of, I mean, you could be really quite posh and grammatical if you wanted to, and say the apostrophe goes from singular to plural, suggesting there's more than one brother. You could be very posh like that if you wanted to, but you can also just put a simple sentence of, in the first sentence there was one brother, in the second sentence there was more than one brother. So as long as you're demonstrating and understanding that the amount of brothers increased between the sentence, you could even write that, the amount of brothers increases, then you're absolutely fine there, because you know that when we move the apostrophe to the end, it becomes plural possession rather than singular possession. Okay? All right. One last thing I'd like to end on is just, there's one final string to this bow, and I feel like this is the bit where people then start to go, what? I thought I was getting it, but now I'm confused again, which is the fact that you can have plural nouns that don't actually end in S, right? Like children. So all that happens is, if you're trying to show that the clothes belong to the children, and you're thinking, oh, but children is plural, so I need to put it after the S, you would be wrong. Okay, that's not right. We only need to do that thing where we put the apostrophe after the S if the word, the original noun, already ends in S. But let's go ahead and box it up. The original noun is children. It just happens to be plural, right? It doesn't end in an S, so you can just use the normal rule. So we always use the normal rule unless the original noun, the boxed up noun, unless that already ends in an S, then we can go ahead and just put an apostrophe on the end. So even though this word is plural, and here's some other examples, women, if I'm trying to show something belongs to the women, I would put apostrophe S on the end like normal because it doesn't already end in an S. Mice, it doesn't already end in S, but it's plural, so I'd put mices, I guess. And sheep, which is an even more interesting one because, oh, I'm changing the colors like, whoa, hey, woo. Oh, okay, I've broken it. let's change this, guys. Right. Sheep is an even more interesting one because it's the same as the singular version, one sheep and lots of sheep. So it gets even more confusing with that one. But you can still, again, use the same rule. We put apostrophe S on the end. So the answer was this one, guys. The children's clothes. Most children, in fact, I think about 90% when this SATs paper really came out, 90% of children went for that one because they simply just thought plural words must have apostrophe after an S. But if the plural word doesn't already end in an S, then it just goes back to the normal rule. Okay, I hope I didn't confuse you too much there at the end. But either way, guys, thank you for watching this video. Remember, you can check out loads more resources here. Parents, give it a snap on your phone, and you can go to our website there and check out all the stuff we've got. There's some free bits on there to get you started. Everybody else, I want you to leave a comment in the comment section below with your answer to this one. You've got to pick: is the apostrophe being used for contraction, or is it being used for possession in each of these sentences? Let me know in the comments down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe because we've got plenty more content coming your way.